and Remuneration Commission, the SRC, backing President William Ruto's assertion that the 70,000 shillings offer for intern doctors will not be revised upwards. SRC Chair Lynn Mengich says the review of the monies to be paid to new interns, while the ones already serving will continue to earn the 206,000 they have been earning. Let's get more from our very own Brenda Wanga.
It's been 28 days since the doctors went on strike, and there appears to be no sign of a truce being entered into by the doctors and the government.
That covers the medical interns, the medical students, the doctors, the consultants, all. And therefore this is a march to ensure that the profession is protected. This is a march to tell the government that we are not political leaders. We are not political students. We are not looking for political appointments. And therefore nobody can threaten us. We are Kenyans like anybody else.
The doctors' strike rise on the strength of a CBA signed between the Ministry of Health and KMPDU on the 30th of June 2017. The agreement was a culmination of an unprecedented 100-day doctors' strike. 7 years down the line, and it would appear that the doctors have been left holding the short end of the stick, with one government entity after the other washing its hands off that agreement. The SRC is the latest entrant into the denial train.
CBA then was signed. At the moment, the issue is you cannot sign a CBA under duress to the extent that you make commitments that you cannot deliver. But I also want to clarify that it is not a general issue that the CBA has not been implemented. Remember that we have 47 counties who are employers by their own right. Right? Then we have the national government, which also has different employers. All the level 6 hospitals are employers themselves. So we are not talking about one employer.
Sure.
And each of these employers have their own issues to do with the CBA. Some have actually fully implemented.
Those commitments made to doctors then touched on a number of issues, including doctors' rights, entry-level job groups, their pay and their training. The Ministry of Health then appending its signature to the document that had the government agreeing that the medical officer, dental officer and pharmacist intern will be compensated a salary equivalent to that of a civil servant in Job Group L or its converted equivalent, and will enjoy all other allowances like the house allowance, leave allowance and extraneous allowances and medical risk allowances. This conferred upon interns a total gross salary of 205,000 shillings. But the SRC has since reviewed this figure for new interns in the profession to 70,000 shillings, and the government says this figure is all that is on the table for doctor interns. SRCs say what interns earn does not fall in the salaries category, even though the CBA does term it as such.
Interns are paid stipends. A stipend is not a remuneration, and stipend is an amount you're paid just to facilitate you to work. So we must separate the two, that interns anywhere are not paid a remuneration.
The government says the offer is more than fair, as other professions take home a much smaller package.
Interns in government today, the highest paid is 25,000. And by the way, some even private sector, we've checked, they pay, 35 could be about the highest.
The SRC statement appears to amplify the government's approach to the doctors' strike. From the head of state,
but we must live within our means. The resources we have are only sufficient to pay 70,000 shillings for intern doctors. It is not a salary.
To the CS in charge of health, who also wants the CBA reviewed.
If there's a problem, there's a problem. The agreement was signed in 2017. Was I there?
These fellas were very clever. It was signed in 2017, just before elections. I will not stand here on behalf of Council of Governors and say it was signed under duress, so I didn't say it.
to the CS Interior, Professor Kithure Kindiki, who's weighing in on the ongoing doctors' agitation for the implementation of the CBA. He, in a statement, not only instructs law enforcement to maintain law and order, protect the general public and health workers still on duty, he also declares the doctors' strike as impermissible on grounds that it is in breach of court directive. But despite the government's walk back on the CBA and seeming digging in for the long haul, the doctors too are not letting up and are equally set to step up their protests next week with multidiscipline bi-weekly demonstrations in Nairobi. Brenda Wanga, Citizen TV.
All right, Brenda.